Still to this day, it doesn't seem real. You know, it doesn't seem that wrestling's not going to be in the Olympics.
Guaranteed, the day they did that, they broke a lot of people's dreams.
It has been called man's oldest sport. 776 BC. The first recorded appearance of wrestling. For almost 3,000 years, wrestling has been an integral part of sporting cultures around the world. Participated by men and women, big and small, in over 200 countries. Wrestling is a timeless art that teaches discipline, perseverance, integrity, and leadership. Though these qualities are taught on the mat, they transcend into real life. Sometimes real life can knock you down. Real life can bruise you. Real life can seem impossible to overcome. And real life can push you until you have nothing left. However, wrestlers know that even when the world seems to have fallen apart around them, you need to fight through the pain, keep moving forward, and most of all, you never ever give up. Colorado Springs, home of the United States Olympic Training Center. It is May 2013. The collegiate and high school wrestling seasons have long ended. But for USA Wrestling's national team, the season has just begun.
This is going to be for feel, lots of feel. We're not sparring for speed, we're sparring for feel. Okay, we're going to put you in some positions. Both men can score. First position is front headlock, top and bottom.
You know, I started wrestling when I was 5 years old. Just brought a flyer home one day from school as a kid, and watched a lot of WWF as a kid. So it was something that I thought would be similar once I actually got to the wrestling room and arena. It was a little different, obviously, but it was good for my family. I was the first person in my family ever to compete in the sport of wrestling, you know, so everything I did was relatively fresh and new. I never had any pressure from my parents, you know, to succeed, so it was always fun.
It's in my blood. My dad and his twin brother both made an Olympic team in '68, '72, so my dad used to joke about how I came out arm dragging the doctor's hand, you know. So I love it. As far back as I can remember, I was wrestling. People ask me when I started, and I got no clue. I know I've been doing it as long as I can remember.
Getting into wrestling, I didn't know much. I didn't know much about the history of the sport, but once I did start, I fell in love with it. I couldn't get enough tapes from my high school coach, and he'd give me everything he had. And I didn't want to give it back. You know, I just fell in love with the sport, and what you did in that room or what you did off the mat, that determines who wins, not your genetic makeup or whatsoever.
You know, you can play wizard position. I can post the head. You know, I can, start to play this position. Okay, ready.
The first training camp of the season has officially started, and wrestlers from all over the country are preparing to get ready for the international competition circuit. The Olympic Training Center is responsible for training and preparing the best athletes on the planet. And no one prepares like wrestlers.
what am I doing to defend? When he shoots, what do I block with? Block with your head. Head block the shot. Head block those shots.
Having a great coaching staff is crucial in the development of the USA Wrestling team. Head freestyle coach Zeke Jones, a former world champion and Olympic silver medalist, is responsible for making sure the team is ready to go for every competition. Assistant coach Jones are Olympic gold medalist Brandon Slay and world champion Bill Zadek.
Being the coach of the national team is certainly an honor and a privilege. I mean, you know, you got to pinch yourself every day that you get to go to work and work with the best wrestlers in the world and travel around the world and do your passion and your love, right? I'm certainly blessed and wake up every day excited.
Do it again, but try to, so when you wizard kick him, go all the way to the other side and land on your knees. Yes, that's it. There you go. Yeah, he's going to pick at that ankle from underhook and collar. And he's got a little trick on top of his gut. He fakes, left goes right. Fakes, you'll see it. He's got a little fake gut wrench on top. Fakes one way, goes the other. Knees. Hit those knees on the ground when you're playing your 100% defense. So just do it all with your head. Make sure you hit your knees.
It's a tremendous responsibility that you're leading your nation to compete against the world's best. And when you're responsible for someone's dream where they've poured their whole life and soul into that goal, and now they're on the cusp of the goal. They're in the final step of a million, and now they're in the final step. You know, I take that seriously. You know, that goal is so important to them, and I want to do absolutely anything I can do. And I mean, at 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's how I'm thinking. How can I get them on top of that podium? What can I do to help them do that?
Get in there and grab his leg with your foot. Get in there and grab, yes. Now, no. Now step, this foot steps right there. This, yep, step and, yes. Now clear it out, yes.
Starting that first period of the first match, right? You got to be warmed up good when you get out there in that first period, right? Start quick.
Like that guy's trying to flip me. You know, I'm like sitting here. I mean, how much of it will I start doing like?
Well, I think it's pretty risky. I mean, the bottom line is not how you start the move, it's how you end the move. So if you put him on his back, you need to hold him there and make sure you get up on top.
Though training the athletes is very important to every team's success, USA Wrestling is responsible for much more than that. Every aspect of the teams, from funding to scheduling and organization, is all done through USA Wrestling. For members of the organization, it is a commitment that goes on 24/7.
This sport is way bigger than any individual in any position, and certainly way bigger than Rich Bender. And you know, the thing that I will guarantee you, that you know, I don't leave anything on the table any day when I go home. I mean, it's been a passion for me since I was really little, and I feel an immense responsibility.
As national teams director, it's overseeing the programs that are mainly at the international level. So it's the cadet, junior, university, senior world teams and Olympic team training, the liaison with the United States Olympic Committee with regard to the facilities. And basically, my job is to support our national coaches in what they need to succeed at the international level.
Our goal is very simple as the women's national coach, and that's to win world and Olympic medals. The mission, hopefully, as in most wrestling coaches, or all, I think the mission is a lot larger than that. The mission is to develop strong individuals, strong people that can stand up on their own 2 feet, people that are going to have successful careers after wrestling.
My job is a lot more than coaching. It's building a Greco program and sustaining a solid Greco program. So that involves working at developing programs at all the different levels of wrestling, all the different age groups and levels of wrestling here. And for Greco, I'm mostly focused on Greco, of course. So it involves the kids all the way up through the senior guys.
As the national governing body for amateur wrestling, USA Wrestling has a serious responsibility, right? We have the responsibility to provide the opportunity for our children to progress in the greatest sport on the planet. And to me, that's a huge responsibility and one that USA Wrestling embraces.
For the athletes, the Olympic Training Center is much more than just a training facility. Several members of the U.S. national team will call the training center their home for several months at a time.
You bring all the best wrestlers in the nation together, and we form a unity. You know, we work together, we do everything together. You know, we're on the same schedule. It's just a great atmosphere.
At these regional training centers, you may have 1 or 2 good guys, but when you're here, you got 20 national champs, you got Olympic and world medalists all training in the same place. Every day you can scrap with a different person, you know, so it definitely helps you improve as a wrestler. And it's just good to be around those guys with those same goals, aspirations, and guys that made the same sacrifices and commitments, and you know that want to be the best in the world.
The Olympic Training Center is inspiring. When you're walking around campus, you know, you just have all these great athletes living and training here, so you know that rubs off. Of course, they train in their home locations, their regional training centers and universities, and that's good. They have great personal coaches and good training partners. But when you bring Jordan Oliver together with Jordan Burroughs, together with, you know, Coleman Scott, together with Tervel Delagnev, and they're in the same room wrestling with each other, the intensity goes boom. And you can't create that in your own home location.
I share my crib because that's the kind of guy I am. Me and Wynn's over here. It's a good room to be in. First name Wynn. I of course have Wynn in my last name. Hayes Wynn Cole. So hopefully that's gonna work out for us. I don't know if it will. Not really much show. You got a lot of pack, you got your books. Brought a PlayStation. Don't know if we'll ever play it, but we got one. And white walls, you know, because it's good to stare at white walls in between practices.
The training center's challenging, but in a good way. That you're in a dorm, you're in a dorm bed, the food is excellent, but it's cafeteria. You know, you're not going out to a nice fancy dinner. It's good training food, it's healthy, it's exactly what you need. We have support services. We have people that their goal is one thing, for you to be an Olympic champion.
Fill it with ice and water in here, plug it in, hook the hose up to this, wrap it on. I wrap it on with this too, but just keep the old knee, you know, body maintenance.
It's good to get around our teammates. You know, you feel that vibe, and you feel that you guys we mesh well, and we got a good core group of guys that are that we've had and that are coming back. You know, through some new guys coming up through this next cycle.
Just tired. Always have.
That's
first few days up here. I love it. It's good. You learn to enjoy it.
You learn to love being tired,
yeah,
right?
It.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah.
Getting to hang out with them guys and getting to know them as individuals and seeing their work ethics and stuff. So just like them, I put a lot of dedication, and it's just motivating being around each other. So
they get a chance to work with new coaches, get new ideas. You know, they get a chance to work with our coaching staff. So fresh coaches give them some fresh pointers. And then a lot of times we try to kind of like bundle these coaches summits, where we bring the best coaches from all across the country. So these guys have an opportunity for a few days at least here to work with the best coaches we have in the whole entire country. So it's a new just kind of location. It's a fresh location, change of pace, great new coaches. And then they realize that there's some guys that a lot of times that better than them, and they're gonna get challenged maybe more than they've been challenged in a long time. And they realize I still have a lot of growth that needs to take place for me to become the best in the world. And so it's eye-opening for some of these guys the first time they come out here.
Life at the training center is it's kind of bittersweet. You come out here and get great training partners and great coaches, but you have to be away from your families.
The sacrifice for these athletes can be difficult. Several of the residents at the training center will go without seeing their families for months at a time. However, the pursuit of the Olympic dream keeps them going through the hardships.
You know, I got a little daughter that's almost 2 years old, you know, and a wife at home that's working every day. You know, so it's hard to put a lot of that on her, you know. I'm not there to help her, which it's hard, you know, because I love being around my daughter, and of course I love helping, you know, being a family.
One little peanut. It's baby Isaiah.
It's my baby.
Kill him. He hasn't told me I'm the godfather yet, but I assume I will be. Kill him.
You have to live in a dorm with 2 other guys, which can be fun at times, but I'd obviously rather be with my family. I have 2 little kids. It's hard to leave my wife home with them. But there's a time and a place for everything, and I have to come to camp. It's what I have to do to be a world champion and Olympic champion.
Growing up, I think every wrestler in the country has at least a couple posters of Olympic champs, world champs, NCAA champs. So, as soon as you walk into a wrestling room, your first day in a wrestling room, you're usually seeing those guys up there. So, for me, it was ingrained right when I was young. I walked in a wrestling room, I was like, I want to be on one of those posters one day.
When I was 8 years old, my goal was to be a 4-time state champ, 4-time national champ, and be an Olympic champ. And as an 8-year-old, I was like, kids were like, what are you talking about? You're still a long ways from even being in high school.
I remember watching the Olympics and telling my mom and my family when I was about probably 6, 7 years old, my ultimate goal. My goal is to win an Olympic gold. That's what I want to do.
When I was 9 years old, we had a class assignment. Write a letter to yourself, date it 10 years in the future, and then in 10 years, open it up. So, I was 9 years old, and I want to be a fireman. I want to have, be married, have 3 kids. And I had also wrote, I wanted to be a world and Olympic champion. So I took this letter, I sealed it up, I took it home, I gave it to my mom. I'm 19 years old, and I come home for Christmas, and it's Christmas morning, 5 in the morning, you peel downstairs to the Christmas tree. My mom is down there with tears in her eyes. I realized as I walked up to the tree, there was this envelope on the tree. And I couldn't remember what it said, but the one thing I remembered it said is, I want to be a world Olympic champion. 4 years later, I was a world champion, and 5 years later, I was an Olympic silver medalist. And I was inspired when I was 9 years old by the Olympics, by the sport of wrestling, and little did I know 10 years later, 15 years later, that experience would actually happen to me. And it was all a dream as a kid. It all started as a dream as a kid.
It shocked the sports fans around the world. It was Monday evening. The International Olympic Committee announced that its executive board had recommended that wrestling be removed from the list of core sports beginning in 2020.
I was actually in Germany, and I just arrived in Frankfurt and got to a TV and just watching TV, relaxing before my next flight, and it was on BBC, of course the only English-speaking channel I could get, and it came across the bottom, wrestling to be dropped from the 2020 Olympics. I was like, that couldn't be right, I must have been reading it wrong or something. It was just a little news teaser, and of course it came back, and I watched the whole thing, and it was, I sort of couldn't believe it. And I think about 10 minutes later, JB and Tervel and those guys walked in the room. I was meeting them there, and I told them, and they didn't believe me. They thought I was lying.
We're like, man, this can't be real. Not wrestling. Maybe we're talking about something else. Like, I don't know. But after it kind of sunk in, we didn't have internet, so we kind of felt helpless. But we actually got to sit in a lounge in Frankfurt, Germany. We got free internet. Then I made a couple calls, got on Facebook and Twitter, saw what was going on in the news, saw that it was actually real.
Our trainer, Chad Schmidt, says, did you hear the news? And I said, no. He said, it's bad. I said, what? How bad can it be,
It just kind of seemed like a dream, like I was still dreaming, like it wasn't real.
No, it's impossible. I always thought, wrestling has always had challenges, right? But you never would think the Olympic wrestling was ever in jeopardy.
I was actually with one of our national teams, our senior national teams in Bulgaria, and I wake up that morning and my phone just is going nuts. I had 15 texts and emails and missed calls and things.
I didn't believe it. I really didn't believe that wrestling could be taken out of the Olympics because it just, for many reasons, even past common sense, it just doesn't seem like that could be a possibility.
Quite possibly the most devastating news ever felt in the wrestling community. On February 12, 2013, the International Olympic Committee recommended that wrestling be removed from the 25 core sports, starting in the 2020 Olympic Games. It is a decision that shocked the wrestling world, and it was felt in wrestlers of all ages from all around the world.
No country could have changed this. no country by itself is that the International Federation failed miserably.
USA Wrestling is one of 177 member wrestling organizations that make up FILA. And FILA has the seat at the table with the IOC. You know, FILA was really, dropped the ball when it comes to making sure that the members of the IOC understood the relevance and importance of our sport.
The wrestling leaders of the sport gathered to discuss the challenges facing the sport, and one of the first results, the announced resignation of FILA President Rafael Martinetti. The Swiss native stepped down from the position he's held since, well, for more than a decade.
It was a strange coincidence that the FILA Congress was in 2 days. And so we literally had 2 days to act, to kind of gear up a coalition of the willing to throw out Rafi Martinetti, the existing FILA president, who, quite frankly, was a lot of the reason why wrestling got bumped from the Olympics.
As you put the things together, I mean, we understand, wrestling has some blame here, and the leadership in FILA, our international leadership, had clearly had some blame, and that's why, Rafi Martinetti, as president, was removed. He did not endear himself to the IOC. He didn't do the things that needed to be done, and no country could do that individually. It's not like we could have gone to the IOC or the Russians. You don't have that ability. They'll tell you to go through your international federation. They're the ones we deal with. Should you got rid of them earlier? Well, a lot of people are accusing us of that, and God, we'd have loved to have. We're in the process of fighting to keep our sport in the Olympic Games, and the man in charge was voted out by the board of FILA 11-10. It should have been 21-0. If you're going to change the minds of the IOC, you got to change the leadership. So if it's 11-10 in a crisis, do you think we could have got him knocked out 5-6 years ago? It just wouldn't have happened.
Don't think for a second USA Wrestling has not felt accountable or responsible and looked at ways that we can make sure that we help our sport and lead.
Though the pain of the decision was still very present, there was no time to mourn. In an amazing effort, the wrestling supporters around the world quickly responded to the IOC's decision, writing petitions, talking to politicians, and gathering any amount of support they could for the cause. The Committee for the Preservation of Olympic Wrestling was assembled, bringing together the greatest leaders of the sport in the country. Their sole purpose? To keep wrestling in the Olympic Games.
It's the Committee for Preservation of Olympic Wrestling. The initial leadership came through, the United States and people in the Wall Street world, people in the wrestling world, other business leaders, understanding that there's a whole range of things that we need to do. And literally, without sounding, improper, is to take advantage of this crisis.
It became clear to me very soon after the decision that this was an opportunity. I mean, we for years talked about the ineffectiveness of our international federation and the opportunity that was at our feet to really take the lead, take advantage of this opportunity, and to make lemonade out of a situation that was, is potentially terrible.
You tend to take things for granted a little bit, so every fan of wrestling across the world understands that it isn't something you can take for granted. You have to be actively involved, you have to participate, you have to do the things that are necessary to make sure our sport is on the forefront of everything.
Really the positive side, the unity of FILA, changing leadership, and all the countries that love wrestling and support wrestling. There's over 200 countries that are involved, and again, millions and millions of people that this affects. I don't think the IOC expected that.
I think that they sort of woke a sleeping giant, in the IOC. They didn't realize the worldwide support that we do have, and that no matter the politics or anything, that we will come together to get this back into the Olympics. We are fighting as one, not fighting as individuals, and I believe that's how we're going to persevere through this.
Fans, athletes, coaches, parents, everybody's doing their part, whether it be a small part or whether it be millions of dollars donations. Everyone's doing what they can.
And it's not been hard to find wrestling people in the political world, and they don't sit back. And getting celebrities involved. It's a crisis, and with a crisis, you can do an awful lot of things out there that you can't do without it. And so I believe that we've worked very hard with other countries and that to make some changes and to continue to make changes that's going to help wrestling not only in this country, but around the world.
They had about 5 to 7 sports that were on the bubble. They went through 5 rounds of voting. Wrestling by a vote of 8 to 6 was the one sport that didn't go forward. And we can talk about, we'll spend a tremendous amount of time on why that happened. And I'll talk a little bit about that. That's probably not all that instructive for our purposes, other than to talk about the path that wrestling needs to follow going forward.
I wish I could physically do more. That's the thing, like wrestling, we are used to work. If you said, build this to keep wrestling in the Olympics, no problem. We would do the physical work, you know what I mean? But I can't do that. So the only thing I could do is help wrestling get the exposure.
Biggest thing is you get smart people to work on it. That's what we're doing. So there's a lot of positive energy going that way. The negative thing is this cannot happen. I mean, you go to bed at night, this cannot happen. You wake up, you cannot let this happen.
We worked with the International Federation to make sure that they had the proper strategic advice. U.S. Wrestling continues to drive significant resources into the domestic PR effort to galvanize the wrestling community, to make sure that our voice is heard beyond our borders. And we're seeing today that plan and that strategy is being adopted by wrestling countries all over the world.
Though the wrestling community is standing strong, the lingering thought of a world without the Olympics is still very present. Unlike other sports, wrestling has no professional leagues. This leaves the dream of an Olympic gold medal as the one true goal every wrestler in the world desires. Removing it could have enormous consequences.
You have kids in high school that are focused on 2020. That's impressive. For a high school sophomore to be like, I want to be an Olympic champ in 2020. That's a purpose in life that I feel like that should be rewarded rather than something that's taken away.
That would have took everything away from me. That my dream was to be an Olympic champ. And if my peak time and my time I feel is 2020 and that was taken away from me, I wouldn't be here today. I would be on a different path.
You're ripping their dreams away, and you're ripping a part of them away.
I heard it, and then I went and picked up my 13-year-old son who wrestles, and I told him, and he started crying. So that really hit me because, I wanted to be that. He wants to be Olympic champion in wrestling. So, it hit me more watching him and his reaction.
That would have broke me. That's been my goal for as long as I can remember. That's been a driving force in my life. Even if we get it changed, there's a lot of broken hearts. There's a lot of people that already quit on that dream. And they could have been our next Cale Sanderson. They could have been our next Rulon. And we've lost that already. And that's a shame.
We have a program with our senior level female athletes where they mentor girls from all over the country. And not long after the decision, we had a young girl from Utah that was being mentored. Our local paper did a story on her, and in the article it said, I really hope that these guys can get this thing figured out about the Olympics, because I really don't have any other dreams.
That's where I feel pressure, because I know how important this is. I've not been in anything else my entire life that's more important, than what we're doing right now.
That's the cutting edge for us. That's what every kid, when you're growing up, like in my own development, that's what I was looking at trying to do, and that's what all of us were dreaming about. If we lose that opportunity to pursue that Olympic goal, it's, the trickle-down effect could be very frightening.
Without wrestling in the Olympics, we're going to say we have to fight for it as well, but that dream is going to be shattered for kids all around the world. They're never going to get to know what it's like to stand on top of that mountain of sport and see what the view's like, which is priceless.
Down low, low in your stance, don't bounce around. Get up on top. Let's push Kelly push going. Okay, go for each man. Go for speed. This is for speed. Right now, go, hustle. Quick, quick, quick.
The first week of training camp was coming to a close, and it was time to head to New York City for the team's first competition of the season. Beat the Streets. Wrestling is a sport that gives direction to so many young men and women throughout the world. No other organization has demonstrated that more than Beat the Streets. The Beat the Streets organization is dedicated to developing the strength of the urban wrestling community, giving young inner-city wrestlers the chance to follow their Olympic dream. To raise money for the organization, every year Beat the Streets hosts an international wrestling event in New York City. This year, in an event known as the Rumble on the Rails, Iran, Russia, and the US will compete inside Grand Central Terminal's Vanderbilt Hall for an exhibition duel meet.
Beat the Streets in the USA, versus the world matches that we have. Those are special things. They're gems and treasures of wrestling in our program. There's such unique places and special places in our country, and we bring wrestling to those locations. And we do them, and they're so historical, and they're beautiful places to be able to have a wrestling meet.
I love this event. It's my favorite event of the year, obviously, besides the World Championships and Olympic Games. I think it's huge. Got to wrestle in Times Square the last 2 years, so it's a pretty prestigious event to be a part of.
We're wrestling live on NBC. That almost never happens. So the coverage and how big a deal and the timing of this and how important this is with Iran and Russia coming together with the United States of America. Our countries probably have never gotten along this well on a single focus for something like wrestling, for anything.
It's going to allow the world, our media, to see how we can have this camaraderie with Iran, which right now in the news, I think a lot of people think that just USA and Iran, our relationship is horrible on all regards, but it's not horrible in regards to wrestling. We're going to bring them over, we're going to compete against them, we're going to have this camaraderie, wrestler to wrestler with them. So I think that's really important for the world to see that.
The whole idea of the Olympics is being shown right now. You got two countries that just don't really get along at all. So I'm pumped and excited to be a part of it. This is history, and I get to be a part of it.
Someone asked me why the Iranians and the Americans and the U.S. can get together. I was like, because if you go through the hell of what wrestling is, the weight loss, the workouts, working out till you throw up, you go through that, it's a common bond. You know those guys did it as well. And so I think it's that kind of cauldron of difficultness that generates toughness and discipline and leadership.
That was a light day.
Because of the immense pressure to overturn the IOC's decision, the wrestling media of the world have pulled out all the stops. In addition to hosting the duel meets live on NBC Network, a press conference to discuss the state of wrestling was hosted at the United Nations. Here, representatives from FILA, the US, Iran, and Russia would all discuss the state of wrestling and the event.
We have people here today from Iran and from Russia and from the United States. Wrestling has been able to do what Obama and Ahmadinejad and Putin and every leader of those countries for the last 50 or 60 years have been unable to do. They failed to bring the leaders of those communities together on the same page with a common goal, united. And we did, and I think we did very quickly and in very impressive fashion.
A lot of smart people in the sport of wrestling throughout the world. There's a lot of hard-working people, a lot of people with a lot of fight in them, and they're going to go out and make the corrections in the sport that needs to be made, push forward, and do everything they can to get back on the program in 2020.
People to talk about wrestling, to get people to realize that it's one of the most fundamental sports, and we got to keep it in the Olympics, and that's the biggest thing right now, and I'm really excited to be a part of it.
My emotion went from like, yeah, right, to I started crying. And then secondly, then I got a little mad about 5 minutes later. I realized that you can't just stay mad, you got to do things, and you got to get up and you get accomplished. So it's almost like I have a reason to get up more than before the decision. It gets me out of bed in the morning, it wakes me up at night, keeps me up all day. So it's one of these things that maybe I could have been doing a little more to help keep the sport in, and I know a lot of people could have. And so now we got to get the people that are in the right positions to be a little bit more focused on the sport of wrestling every day.
I knew one thing: I was going to graduate college, going for the Olympic gold. That was my passion, that was my goal. Since I got shoulder surgery, they dropped wrestling. What am I going to do? Save wrestling. So that's my goal, that's my focus. Nothing else really matters until September, but to get wrestling back in the games where it belongs.
Today at the United Nations, there was probably 100, 150 media from all over the world. What it tells you is they're paying attention to the sport of wrestling now. People are energized about it, and the world wants to know about wrestling. That's why they came today.
When you look at a country like Iran, this is the NFL to them. This is the New York Yankees to them. This is their pastime. It's their national sport. It's not just important for us as Americans and great for us as Americans. It's a global community. It's a global sport. And wrestling is a sport that's accessible to not the elite. It's not the country club crowd. It's working class, it's cops, it's firemen, it's teachers, it's iron workers, it's the middle class.
Wrestling in Grand Central Station is a unique opportunity, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. I'm really excited to wrestle tomorrow, and it's going to be a fun time.
I was at the Times Square when I was at the Intrepid, now, Grand Central. It's a phenomenal wrestling event that Mike Novogratz and Beat the Streets do here in New York City.
It's going to be unbelievable, nothing like it in the world. I mean, the best wrestling here. Iran brought their team, Russia brought some guys. There's going to be some battle, and wrestling's going to show, it deserves to be in the Olympics, why it is the Olympic spirit.
What's up? G? I'm not gonna eat till the Olympics.
So the Russian guy that's Russell Taylor got in when we got to the place at 4 o'clock. At 3:30, 4 o'clock, you guys walked in.
He's not even jet lagged yet.
Hey, let's go. What's up?
See you right now. Man, I got my Cliff King teammate.
Ohio! RTC. That's what I'm talking about, guys.
And my guy was smiling. My guy was shaking my hand like this, like we were locking hands. It was weird. Like we started out like this, and he slowly went away. And then
you guys had a really awkward handshake.
It was weird because I was expecting my guy to be.
You were like this. You were like on fingers.
Yes, it was like that. It was so weird. Like Coleman's guy was like, cool. Put his arm around him. My guy was like, and then he started to pull away, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna get a picture.
It is the morning of May 15th, and the teams have arrived at Grand Central Terminal for the event.
Our goal is to go out there in New York and wrestle lights out. Wearing that Team USA is a big honor and privilege, but not only that, it's a responsibility. It's not just where you're from or what school you went to. Once you put that on, you're wearing the same color, you're wrestling for the same team, and to have that honor to wrestle in front of all those people and showcase wrestling, man, that's exciting. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
This is really my first opportunity to wrestle with USA on my chest, so it's something that obviously you put that single on, it means something different.
I think that's why we're out here. We want to win. It's all things aside, we do want to win. We want to give them what they want. What they put their heart and soul into of getting this organized.
We're united in being ready to face the challenge of the Iranians and to face the challenge of saving Olympic wrestling. And we're doing that together right now in one of the most critical times you could do it.
About today, my family's out. I'm about an hour and a half south of here where I grew up, my hometown. So it's gonna be a great day, great event, and I'm excited to see some good wrestling. It's probably the best event of the year as a United States wrestler.
It's awesome. They have the 3 best superpowers of the world here to wrestle, all in one tiny little venue. Let's get it on.
It was time to show the world the true nature of our sport and what world-class wrestling is all about.
I feel that the excitement in this arena tonight here at Grand Central Station, New York City, is almost as exciting as the Olympic Games, walking out there for the final match.
Right now, this USA team is hungry. They want to win, they want to wrestle hard, they want to come out and score a lot of points and show these fans what USA wrestling is about.
Finish it off. Russell scramble here looking for points. And
he did reduce the space. He got opportunity. 1 point for the takedown. This could be a throwing opportunity for Reese. It's a potential body lock. He's going to have to step his hips around.
On the edge, time winding down.
The yellow zone into the red. If you push him out into the blue, it's a potential push-out opportunity.
Looking to turn him and get the push out, and high bridge in the Garden State, not too far away here. Really growing into his body, was kind of between weight classes to find his foot.
High crotch or double A, those are the effective styles. Opportunity to score.
And Rahimi think a little bit differently in how you go about your business as Bergman trying to get something done here in the first 40 seconds.
This could be a big attempt for a throw. 1 point push out. And then wait to be scored on. Good opportunity. Termel's got a scramble here. I kind of see an opportunity for a gut wrench and action.
Ready to go, 74 kilograms, 163 pounds, and Kyle Dake just finished off an electric college career at Cornell. First wrestler to win 4 NCAA titles at 4 different weight classes. He'll make his international debut against Hassan Tamasebi of Iran. Procedure if there's no point awarded. Tamasebi in, Dake holding on for the moment without giving up the point. Give up the point, he'd win the period. Unless he can get points of his own. Dake picks up 2, and that's it. Able to score points and take the period win. Kid Dynamite just exploded on Tamasebi. Cover it, it is blue, which means Dake will have the leg and a chance to seal the match.
True specimen.
Dake does it. Boom, it's over. Kyle Dake winning his international debut. Couple of tie-breaking finishes.
It was really loud in there. I feel like we're in Tehran. What's going on? Where's our USA folks? Just gotta focus, keep my head level and wrestle my match. I mean, if you lose the ball draw, you're already in the hole. So for me, I just had to make sure I didn't touch my butt and stay strong and then wrestle through it.
Because of the importance of the event, every name in wrestling and so many celebrities that have wrestling connections were in attendance.
I can tell you right now, every day I've always wrestled, because you wrestle and you struggle with life. And so when you think about wrestling and fighting and being great, you wrestle with life every day. But one of the beauties of wrestling is that you always measuring yourself, each and every time. So that's why it was great to be here today, because it gives me a chance to measure what I'm doing in life. And by doing this and giving back and finding a way to be a part of this is amazing.
A big part of my life was wrestling. I probably wouldn't be standing here right now if I hadn't. It really formed a big part of my life, and the discipline and the drive that I got from it have carried over to every other aspect of my life.
And I wrestled in high school. I wrestled at Notre Dame. My brother Bob, who was at Notre Dame before me, he wrestled as well. So we love wrestling. Grew up with wrestling, loved it just as much as football. So any chance I get to watch them wrestling, I'm there. It's even more important to get out and follow the sport now with what's going on, which still somewhat has me in shock that the thought process that wrestling may not be in the Olympics is still kind of mind-boggling to me right now, and I hope that doesn't happen, but I follow it all the time, yes.
It was a big wake-up call for us, so thank God we were able to catch it in time, and I believe by September, God willing, we'll have it back, but it's going to be a long road. Winning a gold medal in the Olympics was everything, but I haven't done anything in my life to match the feeling that I had. That's the hardest part about it, is you go through life as an Olympic gold medalist and you find out what else is there to accomplish that's better than that, besides being a child of God, a Christian, which I have a Christian walk with God, my family, my kids. Other than that, I've tried everything I can to try to top it, but I haven't. But I can tell you this, the feeling I got will last me a lifetime and thereafter.
I actually see these kind of difficulties as an opportunity, and I think this is a real opportunity to remind the world of the passion that is ignited in people about wrestling throughout the world.
U.S. and Iran earlier, and now it's the U.S. and Russia going toe-to-toe inside this large transport center here in New York City.
It's really going to start. Well, there's about a little minute left. There's Coleman in deep on that high cross. Ceiling level change, got to get his opponent to step out of bounds. It's an easy 1 point. It's an easy finish right there for that 1 point takedown. Scott kind of left side. To have that chance. There's Stieber in right away.
Well, Stieber certainly making a name for himself. Super aggressive, picking up a couple of points to get things started for the United States.
It's no control. It's no taking all mine.
Guardians are the best in the world and responding here against Stieber. Able to pick up points with the exposure and working more here.
All stay up around the body, try to get a big lift right there. It's a big lift to his feet and a throw stroke. He controls it and puts the points on the board to win. Wow!
Look at that move by Taylor. Can he finish him off here for the pin? Does it!
And it's fouled.
David Taylor, the Magic Man.
Wow!
Executing correctly, Ben Provisor continues the shutout here for Team USA. And the U.S. puts out its biggest star in the sport, Jordan Burroughs, gold medalist from last summer in London, looking to make it 53 straight wins at the international level to get back into the training mode, both physically and mentally. But he's there now and hasn't missed a beat. Again, his double leg takedown is almost unstoppable.
Salo's going to look at, wow! And that's just that movement that just makes it look so easy, so natural.
Against the side to challenge, so that's another point in favor of Burroughs. So it's 3-0, and Jordan may not be done piling up points. Give another for that push out, 4-0.
It's a powerhouse, and that's really where he's made his living here. That reshot from his knees, oh my gosh. Right to his back, looking for the pin.
Explosiveness, what makes Jordan Burroughs special, there it is.
Right there, so fast.
Pressuring him throughout. Burroughs again looking for another point. Score number 7 of the period for Jordan Burroughs. 53 straight wins now at the international level for American Jordan Burroughs.
The Rumble on the Rails proved to be an enormous success. Not only was world-class wrestling broadcast on live TV, but it created awareness and exposure for the sport and how great it can be.
It wasn't my best performance per se, but I got things started for us. Then Logan followed it up by beating the number 1 60-kilo guy in the world. And then Brent had a great match, and right into DT and JB. It was us freestyle guys. Went 5-0 against the Russians, and that's what we came here to do.
Funny, last couple of years I've been watching all the Russian nationals, and I watch this guy. So I know he's one of the best in the world, and I knew what he had. He had an awesome leg lace, so I knew I couldn't get taken down. I knew he had a great 2-on-1, and I tied up the one time and he got my leg and scored on me. But besides that, I stayed away. I had a lot of fakes and got to my offense.
At the Beat the Streets Gala after the event, wrestling supporters worldwide gathered to relax and celebrate the success of the event. It was there where it was announced a record $1.5 million had been raised during the event for the Beat the Streets programs.
Well, first of all, I'll say mission accomplished on the event, right? I mean, what a wonderful job by our Beat the Streets New York chapter and all their staff that just busted their tails for the last really 3 months to make this happen, and the motivation to ensure that every young man and woman, every boy and girl in this country and around the world never ever loses the chance to dream to win an Olympic gold medal.
Having Russia, Iran, and the U.S. all together is a large step in politics and economics. Though these countries may not see eye to eye on much, wrestling is a sport that brings them together, and saving wrestling is a cause they can all rally behind.
I firmly believe that the purest pursuit in all of sport is an American wrestler trying to win a medal for his country. I mean, obviously not motivated by fame, fortune, just that innate desire to be the best in the world. I mean, the USA Wrestling can't do it alone. It's going to take the entire wrestling community to pull together, and not just the entire U.S. wrestling community. It's going to be the wrestling community around the world, because we're on the side of the angels with this. We belong on the Olympic program, and I have no doubt that when those facts are articulated clearly to everyone, that we'll be successful, hopefully. And certainly it's disheartening that we're in this position right now, but I think it's also the greatest opportunity that's ever been placed at the feet of our sport.
There is still much to be done, but USA Wrestling and wrestling supporters all over the globe are doing everything in their power to make sure that man's oldest sport remains in the Olympic Games.
We understand the #1 issue of all of this is really in September. You know, May is an initial vote, but in September, we've got to get 51% of the IOC board to vote our way.
To be together right now is critical so we can be one voice, not one voice over in Oklahoma and one in Iowa. Right now, we're the United States wrestling team. We're together here.
We're going to have changes in the International Federation. We're going to have changes in rules because nobody out there is afraid to speak up. What's worse is going to happen? We're being tossed out of the Olympic Games. Tell me what's going to be worse.
Even if I don't wrestle in 2020, or if I do or not, it's something that I want somebody to have the experience. I want them to strive for that. Like I've strived for 2012, 2016.
You know, the reality of it is, why we're so relevant to the movement is the Olympic Games is the pinnacle for our sport.
The good part about this is that we have the ammunition. It is, if this comes down to a logical vote, and we never know what's going to happen, but if it's about doing what's right for the Olympic Games, then we have the ammunition to help them keep us in those games.
We're used to adversity. That's one thing wrestlers do.
It's going to make us stronger. You know, we're going to come together. We're going to overcome this, and we're going to get Olympics back in 2020.
We have a battle. We have to battle and show the world what makes our sport so great.
I feel like we stand a very good chance. If I'm a betting man, if I'm in Vegas, I say we're in for 2020.
I told you I'm not eating till wrestling's back in the Olympics. That's right. Don't kill me, Fila.
Hunger strike.
Don't kill me, IOC.